Hello, good morning, everyone, or good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. Thank you for joining us for today's event. Now, before we get into the event, I would like to go over some event logistics. You are able to see and hear us, however, we cannot see nor hear you. There will be an opportunity to submit questions, and there is a question box. If you look at the very top of your screen, there should be two chat bubbles with a question mark, and you can post questions there at the end of our presentation. This event is being recorded, and it will be posted and made available between 2 to 3 business days on our YouTube channel. Closed captioning is also available in multiple languages, and that is something that you can enable yourself. If you go to the very top, there should be 3 dots, and if you click on them, there is the option there for closed captioning. Next slide, please. For today's International Student Orientation information session, we will be talking about the next steps for incoming international students. And for that first, I would like to invite Leticia Zamarripa, the Director for Global Engagement. Next slide, please.
Thank you very much, Tamara, and welcome. And thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. We hope you will enjoy it. Congratulations on your decision to study at UT Dallas. My name is Leticia Zamarripa, and I am Director of Global Engagement in charge of the Intercultural Programs Office. Our department reports just as reference to the Dean of Student Office and is part of the Student Affairs Division. This is just for your general reference. This is the first of our series of live information sessions to complement international student orientation. We will be recording, as Tamara mentioned, each session, and you may find it as reference later on our international orientation webpage. The objective of these sessions is to bring you the opportunity to learn about UT Dallas resources, hoping that you can find answers to your questions and engage starting now. In some of our virtual programs, we will discuss them a little bit later on. For this particular session, we would like to talk to you about all the next steps that you will have to do after your admission. We hope that after this session, you can visualize and prioritize your next steps. We'll try to make it easy for you. So thank you for attending. Hope it will help you. Next slide, please. To start with, I would like to share with you something about our office. I would like to let you know that we are a team of 4 people. We have Tamara West as our program coordinator. We have Rodolfo Hernandez, program coordinator as well, and Flower Mangui, who is a student worker. We call it International Peer Advocate. We are a very multicultural team. I am personally from Mexico. Tamara West is from Jamaica. Rodolfo is also from Mexico, and Flower is from Kenya. So we are a very, very multicultural team, and that gives us the advantage of related more to you. As we serve our international students, we know what does it looks like to be an international person. Next slide, please. I would like to discuss with you a little bit before we go into the steps that we are going to talk about, why we are here, why Intercultural Programs is here to help you. And I would like to share with you our mission. Our mission as a department is first to support the integration of international students into campus life. So that is you. We would like to help you transition smoothly, providing you the services and the information you will need to be successful. So that is why we are here. And we offer transition programs such as orientation and student support through the year. We also are in charge of promoting global engagement among the UT Dallas community. And for that, we offer intercultural and cultural programs and events during the year. We usually reach out to our international students to help us promote global engagement representing their own culture. We do have over 100 cultures represented here at UT Dallas, and we are very, very proud of that. Before we talk about our services, I would like to acknowledge that we are still living in an extraordinary time, and that we will try to provide you as much information as we are transitioning from COVID, but still living with COVID. We will cover that part later on in the presentation. I just want to acknowledge that it might be difficult for you coming from different countries, but stay assured that we will be provide you a safe environment, and I will explain why in a little while. Let's move to the next slide, please. So the first thing we are going to discuss is international student orientation. We offer international student orientation, our webpage, and we will send you the link. I'm sure you have seen it because we have sent you messages about that, but we will send you the link later on. But we would like to announce, maybe you know this, that registration for international student orientation will start next Monday, November 8th. Orientation or international orientation is required for all incoming F1 and J1 visa graduate and exchange students. We have taken care of trying to include everything you need to know about orientation on our webpage. We really encourage you to go step by step, review all the resources that we have there. We even have a section of frequently asked questions. Please read them because those are the frequent questions that usually international students have. You will find there all the necessary information to register on our webpage. I told you already there is a section for frequently asked questions. We will post the chat on the chat, all the important webpage, so you don't have to write down anything. Please make sure to review it and try to navigate not only through the international orientation webpage, but through other webpage on our main website, because we do have a lot of resources for you. If you are a transfer student, undergraduate transfer student, and you are not an F1 and J1 graduate students, please try to attend your corresponding transfer orientation. And if you want, you can also register for international student orientation as a resource for you. But your mandatory orientation for transfer international students will be rather your transfer orientation. Next slide, please. Now, we will have a couple of options for you to complete international student orientation. The first option is the traditional one, when you will have a session that is in person, and we will have 3 options for that. You will see that when you register for the session. It is the in-person sessions are December 15, January 4, or January 5th. And the second option is virtual. Virtual orientation will include online models that you can complete at your own pace. However, we recommend that you complete them the sooner the better, for two reasons. The first reason is for you to benefit from the information that we are offering. The second reason is for you to remove the hold. A hold is, in general, holds prevent you to register for classes, but I would like to clarify that even though you saw we put a hold on your account, this is very important, that won't stop you from registering for classes. If you haven't, you will, and if you have done it already, great. You don't have to worry about it. The hold is effective the first day of classes, meaning that if you don't complete international student orientation, then for the next term, you won't be able to register if you still have the hold. Now, if you look at the screen, you will see that we present international student orientation with a package. International student orientation is composed either in the traditional or the virtual mode, is composed of two elements. The first one is the pre-arrival models. All those models are online and you can access them through e-learning. Again, all the reference is on our webpage, so you don't have to worry on writing anything. Just get into our webpage for orientation and you will find the information there. But I want to make you aware, sometimes there is confusion and students finish, for example, on the virtual mode, finish the orientation models, but do not complete the pre-arrival model. So we cannot remove the hold until both elements are completed. So for the in-person session, you would have to complete pre-arrival models online because they are online, and that is information that will help you before you arrive to Dallas. And then the in-person orientation. You have to choose one of the 3 dates that you will be having access to. And then for the virtual option, you will have to complete the pre-arrival models and then the online orientation models. So please be aware of that. Sometimes we know that there is confusion about it. That's why I'm clarifying. You should register in Orion for in-person or for online format. You will find the instructions there. Please go to the next slide. Now, we usually, I have to clarify that the content is the same if you go for the in-person or you go of the online. Of course, naturally, we will have more interaction in the session that is in person than in the one that we do have online. However, I would like to clarify that there is a section that you won't find in the virtual mode. That is the session that has to do with maintaining your F1 status workshop or your J1 student orientation. Those sections are mandatory as well for you as an international student, but if you do the in-person, those will be covered. If you do the virtual, you will have to do the virtual orientation and then just make sure that you complete those sections, either maintaining an F1 status or completing the J1 students orientation. We are showing the contacts. We will again send you the information concerning the Office of ISSO, so you can contact them in case you have any questions. Next slide, please. Now, let's leave orientation as a big first step, and then you will hear about the TB test. What is the TB test? The TB test is a tuberculosis screening that is mandatory for all students born outside of the US. Students will take their TB test until they get into the US. That means that you cannot take the TB test in your home country. The health center will ask you to take it here at UT Dallas. After registering for orientation, you will automatically receive an email with a lot of detail concerning next steps in orientation, but also including a specific link to register for the TB test. That link won't be active until December 1st. So you will have the information on that email that you will receive after registering, but don't expect that you can register for the TB test until or after December 1st. Make sure you comply with this because this is a very, very important step for all international students. For any questions concerning the TB test, other than registration, because we will be sending you that information as soon as you register, you can contact the health center. Next slide, please. Now, let's talk about health insurance. That's another step. The good news is that you don't have to do much about it. Let me explain myself. Health insurance is required for all F1, F2, J1, and J2 international students. It is a requirement that you have to comply with. Now, you don't have to personally enroll because you will be enrolled automatically. Being an F1, F2, J1, or J2, the university enrolls you automatically, and you will pay insurance when you pay your tuition and fees later on. So that is good news that you don't have to process anything. I would like to make you aware that the coverage for that enrollment into the health insurance, the coverage is January 1st through May 31st. Which means that as an international student, you know that you can arrive up to 30 days before the classes start in advance. So if you arrive prior of January 1st, and this is just a recommendation, is not mandatory, but we highly recommend, please, please cover yourself with another type of insurance while you are not covered by the UT Dallas insurance. Medical bills in United States could be very high, and hopefully you won't need them, but you can shop around, or even your own health insurance that you have at home may cover you while you are abroad. Find out and be prepared to be covered with some type of insurance just for your own sake. Again, we don't require, it's not mandatory. The only mandatory health insurance that we require is once you are a student, and as you know already, it will cover you from January 1st to May 31st. Now, there are instances in which international students, for some reason, have an insurance that covers them abroad and that fulfills some of the same requirements that the international health insurance that we have. However, you would have to go through a process to be able to waive the health insurance of UT Dallas. There is a possibility if you prove that you are covered with most of the requirements that UT Dallas requires from students concerning the health insurance, you will be able to waive it. And again, we will, you can see the link, not the link, well, the webpage address on the screen, but you can find it as well in our orientation webpage. Next slide, please. Now, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19, just for you to be aware of what are the policies here at UT Dallas concerning that. We're gonna talk, hold on a minute, please, concerning face mask. We highly encourage people, faculty, students, and staff to wear a face mask. especially when you are not alone in an office, but you are interacting with other people indoors. We highly recommend that. However, I would like to clarify that due to a mandate from our governor, we cannot mandate that for anyone. For example, I cannot ask my employees or our staff or students that come to our office to wear a mask. However, common sense. Most of you, I'm sure, will decide to wear it just for your own sake. So most students in the practical way, they wear it, but I just wanted to clarify. Now, if you choose to come to in-person orientation, this is a large event, so please, we do not require, but highly recommend that you wear your mask. Also, when you're attending classes, again, it's up to you, but we highly recommend it. Next slide, please. You must be aware already concerning a new international travel guideline that the CDC has published already, in which effective November 8, all non-immigrant, no-citizens air traveling to the United States will be required to be fully vaccinated. You can find more information on our website with the specific links if you want to find out if you got a vaccine in your home country, if that vaccine will be valid for that. The US, for this purpose, recognize both our own vaccines as well as the ones that are accepted by the World Health Organization. Again, you can find more information about that, but I just wanted to discuss with you this because it is very important that you get prepared for this before you travel and become a student at UT Dallas. Next slide, please. So we were talking about vaccines and how it is a mandate now that all the people traveling by air will have a vaccine, or entering the United States will need to have a vaccine. Just for your information, because some of you might be already in the United States, concerning UT Dallas policy, even though, again, most of you will have to get vaccinated if you're coming for the first time to the United States. Just for you to know, the COVID vaccination is not mandatory at UT Dallas. However, again, the same done with masks, we highly recommend or encourage people to get vaccinated. If you're here already because you're transferring from another university, just for you to be aware that we do provide vaccination by appointment with the health center if you wish to do that. Now, what UT Dallas is doing is asking all staff, faculty, and students to report themselves if they have been vaccinated. Again, that is not mandatory, it's voluntarily, but that is the way UT Dallas is monitoring how many staff, how many students have been vaccinated to make decisions concerning prevention on campus. Next slide, please. Just for your reference, another big step, and I'm sure you have been in contact already with the International Student and Scholars Office, which is called ISSO. That office, just for you to have a reference, their main responsibility is to provide immigration services. What type of immigration services? Well, they will help you process your immigration forms for you to get the visa later. They do advising. We were talking about the difference between online and traditional, or virtual and traditional orientation. They do offer the maintaining F1 status workshop and the J1 orientation. Sometimes there is a little bit of confusion between our office, which is called Intercultural Programs, the short name is ICP, and the ISSO, because both of us serve especially the international student community. But just as reference, they concentrate their services in terms of everything that has to do with immigration services. And we do concentrate our services with everything that has to do with your transition and your success at UT Dallas. Next slide, please. The last topic I'm going to be discussing with you before Tamara takes over is academics. It is very important as a brand new international student that you establish contact with your program or academic advisor so you will be able to register for classes. As a new student, we do require that you register through your academic advisor. You cannot register on your own. You will need your advisor to be able to authorize your registration. In the future, registration will take place in a different way, but up to now, you have to contact them. How to find your program advisors? Please visit the academic programs website and then go ahead and click on your major and degree level, and you will have information concerning where to find your academic advisor. Keep in mind that your academic advisor main responsibility has to do with academics. We would like to kindly ask you not to ask questions that doesn't have to do with academics. If you have a question concerning the health center, write to the health center. If you have a question concerning orientation, please contact us. If you have an immigration question, please contact the International Students and Scholar Office. But everything that has to do with academics, please make sure to contact your academic advisor. So that is what I wanted to share with you this morning. I will invite Tamara West as she will be discussing some other important aspects concerning our office and the services that we will be providing you. Thank you very much. Tamara.
Yes, thank you, Leticia. Good morning again, everyone. As Leticia mentioned, my name is Tamara West, and I'm a program coordinator in the Intercultural Programs office. So I would like to share with you about the steps in regards to arriving to Texas, right? So you have been admitted and you are working on maybe getting some immigration things settled and maybe some other requirements that are of you taken care of. But how are you actually going to get to the school? So in regards to transportation, there is a wonderful student organization that our office works with, and they're called Big Howdy. And so Big Howdy, they have a wonderful team of volunteers, and they actually schedule airport pickups. So their registration form will be open on November the 15th. Not before November the 15th, but on November the 15th, that is when it will open. So if you visit their website, which is on the screen, it's utdbighowdy.com. That is when on November the 15th, the registration will open for students that are arriving. They do tend to ask that you wait to make your reservation until after you've, kind of sorted certain details out. So for example, they may ask, after they pick you up from the airport, where are they going to take you to? So if you don't know what your destination is as yet, it might be best to just wait until you have those details sorted before you fill out the form. If you have any questions at all whatsoever about the airport pickup, their contact email is on the screen. It's utdbighowdy.airportpickups@gmail.com. The next step is about temporary housing. Now, in the past, we once again through wonderful volunteers, whether it be from the Big Howdy organization or even student organizations that are here. They have offered to temporarily house new incoming students because they understand what it is when you're, packing up your whole life in 2 suitcases or however many suitcases you might have, and you need a place to stay for a little bit until maybe you're able to move into a more permanent residence. However, as hopefully you can understand, because of COVID, temporary housing that is typically offered for free by these volunteers are not really available right now, once again, because of COVID. And so we definitely understand that as an office, and we are respectful of that as the volunteers do are seeking to protect the health of themselves and their families. So, but that doesn't mean that there is no option whatsoever. If you visit our webpage, if you go to utdallas.edu/ICP, and then if you go to the resources tab, under the resources, there will be a drop down, and if you go to housing, you can actually find a list of hotels and residence suites that are pretty close to the campus. So once again, the temporary housing that is typically available is not available due to COVID, and so we do ask that you're able to, just kind of understand that situation and just plan to, reserve or book some type of a housing as best as you can that is near to the campus. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're talking about housing, but how are we going to get to our housing, whether it's temporary or we have found a permanent place? Transportation, right? So let's talk about transportation. So once again, I did mention the Big Howdy airport pickups that will open on November the 15th. However, if you are not able to get picked up by them, there are other options. If you go to our website, utdallas.edu, if you go to resources tab, there will be a travel guide with many options there for you to travel for how you can get from the airport. And when I say the airport, most people tend to fly into Dallas-Fort Worth International, since most people are flying in international. There is another airport, it's called Dallas Love Field, but if you're coming in international, you'll probably come in through Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. So there's information there if you're coming from Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Another suggestion I have is using maps.google.com. So just using Google Maps, and you can see for yourself, you can see how far away, DFW International Airport is from UT Dallas in Richardson, Texas. In Google Maps, if you happen to have a car, then you can book the route. You can check the route via that mode. If you need to take mass transportation, that is available as well on Google Maps. You just need to switch the icon to the bus. They have like a bus icon, and it will show you how to get here by bus. DART, and when I'm speaking about bus, DART is the name of the bus that you would be using. DART is the public transportation system for the area. It also covers rail as well, but they have a bus that goes from DFW Airport. I looked it up yesterday, it said it was in Terminal A. So basically, if your flight comes in, for example, Terminal C as in cat, then you just have to figure out how to get to Terminal A, and they have you can either walk over there or you can get there another way. And then that's where the bus would be to leave from DFW Airport, and then, take whatever other buses. Now there are transfers, so it's not just one bus that goes directly. There are transfers. And I looked for, a day pass is like $6. So once again, this is something that you can decide for yourself. There are other options as well. There is rideshare. So for example, there is Lyft, or there's also Uber as well, if you just want to get, a personal vehicle, so you don't have to be with others. So either way, visit our website at the appropriate page, and you can get more information to make a better decision. We also have information for what to pack, because a lot of students, if you're picking up your whole life and moving to a whole different continent and a whole different country, you might kind of want to know, what should I take with you? So once again, we have helped you out by providing that information. If you go to our webpage, utdallas.edu/ICP, go to resources, and it will be found on your travel guide. Next slide, please. Okay, so Leticia mentioned before about our office and the mission that it has. And so under the mission, we have some programs that will help you in your transition, of course, into transitioning into UT Dallas and transitioning into life in Texas and in the United States of America in general. So International Student Orientation is one of those, whether you do it in person, which is a traditional mode, in person and your pre-arrival modules, that's the traditional mode, or if you do it the virtual mode, which is doing the pre-arrival modules and doing the online format, excuse me, of the orientation modules. So that we are providing information with you, we're sharing with you and letting you, giving you some insight for kind of what to prepare yourself for mentally, right? Because sometimes when we have information, when we're prepared, when we know what to expect, it can be a little bit easier to kind of adjust into our new environment. We also provide information sessions on Teams. So for example, this session that you're in is an information session. So thank you for being here. We have welcome events, a big howdy that we mentioned before that does the airport pickups. They typically have a welcome party and it's very well attended and they just have lots of fun and you can get to meet your cohorts and your peers and get to socialize as well. Another program we have is the UTD International Spouse and Family Group. This is a social group, and it's just a group for students that bring with them a spouse, a child, or children to be able to have some kind of a connection. A lot of students, UT Dallas students will have a lot of resources available to them. However, sometimes the spouses or their dependents, their children, they may not have as much support. So this group is here. We invite you to check them out. They're on Facebook. If you just go to Facebook and type in UTD International Spouse and Family Group, we recommend that you just connect with them and also provide some support to your spouse and or children. Next slide, please. In continuation of ways that we support students, we connect students to university resources. So typically in the past at our in-person orientations, we would have various offices that would actually stop by and they would set up a table and kind of speak a bit about their office. And at in-person orientation as well, we will have various representatives from the different offices stop by and share on their resources. So a lot of students really do like this because once again, as Leticia mentioned, if there is a particular service that you are needing, because things are decentralized and broken up, you will need to contact that particular office so they can help you specifically. There isn't just one place that you can go to and they will do everything for you. So we will share with students the information for how they can access these resources. We also work a lot with cultural student organizations, and we actually also recommend our incoming students to connect with cultural student organizations. These leaders and members of these organizations typically have some kind of a support system for incoming students, depending on the organization that you're part of. So we highly recommend for you, you can do your internet sleuthing ahead of time. You can check out social media on Facebook. There are some very kind of big organizations. For example, there's Indian Students Association. That's a very big organization on campus. And then there's FACS, which is Friendship Association of Chinese Students and Scholars organization. And there are others as well. There's Vietnamese Student Association, etc. So there are so many ways for you to get connected and plugged in, which we know is very important to help students who are adjusting to a new culture. Next slide, please. If you are interested in being intercultural yourself, as Leticia mentioned, our office is multicultural, but you can have a multicultural space and not necessarily have the intercultural skills to function effectively and efficiently in that space. So we do have programs that are able to assist you because the UT Dallas campus and community is pretty diverse. It is pretty multicultural and intercultural. So we do have a program called iFriend, which is a cultural exchange program where you can be paired with someone from another culture. And you can get to learn about their culture. So it is a semester by semester program. Currently, we're in the fall semester, but registration for spring will open on the first day of classes. So we hope that you can register for the program if you're interested. We also host a week of events called iWeek, which is short for International Week. It shows off the global diversity of UT Dallas, and it's typically held in the last week of March or maybe the first week of April. And we have some really awesome signature events that our office puts on. This event is in collaboration with other offices, but in particular, our office, we manage two signature events. One is Passport to the World, which is always well attended. The people that participate in the event and also the attendees of the event, they get to kind of, it's like a cultural expo, basically. You get to walk around, go to different booths and sample different food and, listen to music and see different unique aspects of culture. And we also have a global talent show as well that is pretty well attended, and people, just kind of show off their culture through virtual performances. So we recommend for you, since you're coming in for spring, you'll be in time to participate and or attend iWeek. Next slide, please. Some other services and events that we do, we have been doing Instagram lives, and we have been doing those on a weekly basis. So if you are not on Instagram or if you're not following us, go ahead and do it. You can follow us at UTD ICP. We interview staff, faculty, student organizations, individual students. We have done so many helpful and informative, but yet still fun events. So check us out there. We also have provided some opportunity to learn about local culture by trips to the Dallas Arboretum and also to a local museum called the Perot Museum. So different ways that you can get engaged into the culture that you're planning to now live in. Next slide, please. Some other opportunities for you. We have intercultural competence, competency trainings that are available. And this is because, well, one reason UT Dallas community is very diverse. Secondly, a lot of our international students would like to seek employment in the United States, and the United States is a pretty multicultural place for the most part. So it's also important that while you are studying and you're working on getting those hard skills in the classroom, it is also important to gain those soft skills, and included in those soft skills are getting those intercultural skills, right? So we do have opportunity for you to attend training sessions so that you can increase your intercultural competency. And we have a series of events that we do that we call global engagement that kind of offer you the opportunity to learn about other cultures. We know that you're moving to the United States and you probably will want to know a lot about the United States, but then you are also probably interested in other cultures as well. Or maybe you meet someone that's from, that's not from the US and they, have a different culture and you want to learn about that. So we provide so many opportunities for you to broaden your mind and to learn in a very global, with a global mindset. Next slide, please. Okay, and speaking of these events, to prove to you that they are real, of course, we have some upcoming events for you that we hope that you're able to attend. And we do have virtual options. So since you're coming in for spring, you may not be in the country as yet, so you can attend virtually. So I did mention that we are on Instagram. So as you can see, they're listed for you on the screen. About 4 different upcoming events, one on November the 4th, November the 10th, November 11th, and November the 15th. So we invite you once again, if you're not following us on Instagram, go ahead and follow us and tune in to these events as much as you can. There will be a lot for you to learn and a lot that you can actually apply. We try to choose topics that are things that you will be able to utilize, not just things to just tell you things, but things that you can like apply right away. So check us out. And if you're not able to catch a live event because of the timing, maybe the timing is not the best time for you, our live events are posted. They're recorded in the live on Instagram, and then they will be posted on our main page of our Instagram. So if you're not able to miss the time, no worries, you can watch the video after it is uploaded to our main page. Next slide, please. Okay, and so we invite you to contact us if you do have questions about orientation, about adjusting to Dallas or Texas, or any other questions that you might have related to that. Our email is icprograms@utdallas.edu. You can also call us as well. I apologize, that number should be 972-883-4528. And our webpage is utdallas.edu/ICP. And our social media handles are there, UTD-ICP on Instagram and also on Facebook. Next slide, please. Okay, and we're coming up to our question and answer section. So we will be opening the chat very soon. But just to give you a heads up so that you can plan ahead, here are a few of our upcoming information sessions. So once again, this is related to International Student Orientation information session. So the next one that we have is paying your tuition and fees, which we definitely suggest for you to attend because we know a lot of students have questions about how do I pay for my tuition? Can I use cash? Can I use this? Can I use that? So we will have a representative from the bursar office there. Lisa Davis will be there, and she does a great job of explaining everything. So, money is so important, budgeting is important, and especially if you have to involve other people are maybe helping to fund your studies. And so getting this information so that you can explain it to them so that, everybody just can be on the same board in terms of what to expect. So we highly recommend for you to tune in. That's going to be next Tuesday, November the 9th at 9 a.m. We also have some orientations as well for different cultural groups. So the Indian Students Association, they'll be having their orientation on November the 16th. And the Friendship Association of Chinese Students and Scholars, they'll be having their orientation for Chinese students on November the 23rd at 9 a.m. So we invite you to tune into those if they are of interest to you. The link for these events will be made available in our communication and also on our social media. So they will be made available on our orientation website, and we also make them available on our social media as well. Okay, we have come to the end. Next slide, please. The question and answer field is now available. Well, the question field, I guess I should say. People will probably post questions and not answers, but the Q&A is open, so you can go ahead and post your questions in there. If you post your questions, we will read them out and we will answer them. If you do not hear us reading your questions, sometimes some of the questions are repetitive, and so we might skip over them if we have already addressed them because we're trying to answer new questions. So let me see if there is anything, excuse me. Okay, we do have a question here, okay? It says, I want to ask, where can I find my health form? Okay, so I'm not sure what health form exactly you are referring to. If you are referring to the student health insurance waiver application form, because you have another type of insurance and you would like to waive the UT Dallas health insurance, if that is what you're referring to, then that would be found at the student health center. And let me actually drop some links in the chat so that with some helpful links, hopefully they come out okay. Sometimes they come out a little bit funny, but I just put some links in the chat that link to different resources that you can access based on, you know, the service that you may need. So maybe if you would like to clarify that health form, I'm not sure exactly what health form you're referring to, so if you could provide clarification, I think I can better answer that question. Okay, we have a next question. It says, I have applied for my I-20 form a week ago and I still haven't received any communication. So to answer this question, that would be the office for ISSO. ISSO is the office that handles any kind of immigration related paperwork. That would be the best way that I can put it. So anything about I-20s, you know, any kind of paperwork, basically, anything with a, you know, an embassy interview, anything with immigration paperwork, that would be the ISSO office. So you can contact them, their email address, I put it in the chat. So if you look in the chat for ISSO, you can find their contact there to ask them that question. Okay, there's a question here that says, when can we register for TARA? I assume that is TA is teaching assistant, I think, and then RA is research assistant. When can we register? I'm not quite, once again, that question does need a bit more explanation. I'm not sure if you're asking if you can, where you can apply for it, or I believe that they have an orientation that they do, right, Leticia?
Yes, Tamara, and just to mention, everything that has to do with teaching assistant or research assistant questions, please contact your academic department because those are handled by each department. And yes, they do have a TARA orientation specifically for students that have those type of assignations. So please contact your academic department and I'm sure they will be able to help you.
Yes, thank you, Leticia. Okay, let's see, here is, oops, I think I just published a question. Okay, here is another question. It says, I got an admit for MSBA cohort, but I do not have a GRE score. Am I still eligible for the Dean's Excellence Scholarship? That is a great question. Since that question is related to your academics, it sounds like it's a combination of your, well, it's a combination of your academic program, but it's also financial related. There is a financial aid office. And I will see if I can find the website and put it in the chat. But that would be something that you would have to reach out to the financial aid office about. So,
and there are some financial aid opportunities such as this one that has to do specifically with a particular school. So, for example, the Dean Excellence Scholarship, I'm sure it will be handled by the school itself. So again, please contact your program coordinator, advisor, and they can guide you in the right direction.
Thank you, Leticia. Thank you, that was very helpful. Okay, so there's another question here. It says, will the class or sorry, will the class registration start after orientation? So I'm assuming this person's asking if they will be able to register for classes only after they have completed international orientation. If that is what you're asking, the answer is no. The class registration does not start after international student orientation.
Yes, and if I may clarify that part, because I think some students that saw a hold in their account concerning international student orientation might think that they cannot register for classes, but that is not the case. You can register for classes even though you have your hold for orientation, because the hold is effective until the first day of classes, which means that, yes, if you did not complete your orientation by then, you will keep the hold and you won't be able to register in the future. But as a first year student, as a first semester student, we want to make things easy for you, so that hold won't interfere at all in your class registration. Just go ahead and contact your program advisor for you to take the necessary steps to register.
Great, thank you. We do have another question here. Do we need to take MMR vaccination? So for that question, please contact the Student Health Center. If you look in the chat, you may need to scroll up in the chat if just in case if it's up at the top, but please contact the Student Health Center in regards to any questions about health or anything related to that matter. Okay, here's another question. It says, if I'm preferring virtual orientation classes, okay, then I would be missing out maintaining F1 workshops section. How would I be able to complete that section? Okay, so just to clarify, the virtual orientation, there are not classes. If you choose the virtual option for to complete international student orientation, which is made up of two things, right? Doing the pre-arrival modules and then doing the online orientation. Then the F1 status workshop, that is something that is taken care of by ISSO. So if you visit the ISSO's website, their website should be in the chat. Then they will provide information for that, for the maintaining your F1 status workshop. I know last semester they had virtual and in-person options, but for the spring semester, I'm not sure what they will be doing, but that is something that is handled by the ISSO office. And once again, if you're choosing the virtual option of international student orientation, that is when you would need to do the F1, the maintaining your F1 status workshop, but that is done by the ISSO. So you would have to contact them and whatever they say for you to do. If you need to register for something, if you need to enroll for something, then you would need to contact them and make sure to comply with whatever they ask for you to do. Okay, next question. It says, so this person says, I have deferred my admit from fall 21 to spring 2022, but the Orion portal shows that the start term is fall 21. How and when could that be changed? So for that person, I would recommend for you to email us. So email us at icprograms@utdallas.edu. so that we can get more specifics and we can address your specific case. Okay, next question. It says, while registering for classes, it says, I do not have an appointment to enroll. I was told that from November 3rd, appointment begins. How exactly does this process go? So this sounds like it has to do with being able to register for classes. That is an academic related question that an academic advisor would be able to advise you on. Our office is not able to advise on the class registration process. So if you look in the chat, you may need to scroll up to see the link, but there's a link if you do not already know who your academic advisor is or program advisor. Sometimes they're used interchangeably. But you would need to contact that person for your particular program to ask them that specific question. And they'll definitely be able to help you with that. Okay, another question here says, I asked my academic advisor to register for classes and he said that I have advising holds. Once I get rid of them, he will register me. Can you please explain? Okay, so if you are a new incoming international student, if this is your very first semester, typically there is a hold that you will have that says that you need to meet with an academic advisor before you can register for classes. So that is what that means. So pretty much what your advisor said is true, and that is what they meant by that. So once again, if you do have concerns, if maybe there's a certain class that you see filling up or something, then it is best to reach back out to that academic advisor and to try to make an appointment with them and just ask them the question that you have, like, when can I meet with you, etc. If they have not communicated that information with you already. So your academic advisor would be the person to follow up with. Thank you for that question. Okay, here's another question. It says, when will we have new student orientation for registration of classes, degree plan, and prerequisites? Okay, so once again, this sounds like an academic related question since it relates to the registration of classes, your degree plan, and also your prerequisites. This would be very program specific. We have a lot of programs here at UT Dallas, so and they vary in how they do things. So this would be another question for your program advisor or your academic advisor, if that is what you're asking about, how to have like a rundown of how to register for classes, what degree plans are available and what prerequisites you need. That would be a question that you would need to put forth to your specific program advisor. Thank you for that question though. Okay, the question says, can you please share the link regarding registration for advisors? So once again, if you check in the chat, you may need to scroll up to find the link, but there is a link there for where to find your academic advisor if you do not already know them. If you have been admitted into a particular program, check your communication, check your email and see. Just scroll to the bottom of the email. Most staff use some kind of an email signature. So check to the bottom of your email and see if there's an email signature there that has the name of a person. And if they say that they're like an academic advisor or something like that, then that would be the person to reach out to. Thank you. Next question, it says, okay, when can we expect scholarship decisions? Is it going to be on a rolling basis or will it be declared once? So my suggestion is, it sounds like you have already applied for a scholarship since you're asking about the decision on the scholarship. If you have applied for a particular scholarship, I would recommend that you reach out to the particular office or program that you applied to the scholarship for. I don't know what scholarship you're referring to. There are so many things that happen here. It's not just one scholarship available. There are a lot, and so it's just hard to answer that question because I do not know the details. So whoever you maybe emailed your scholarship to or whatever website you found that information on, then I would suggest to reach back out to that source in particular to ask them this question. Okay, next question, it says, can you please elucidate on the maintain F1 status for the virtual mode? Definitely. Okay. So I will try to explain this in the most simple way. So there are two different formats for orientation. We have an in-person format, which we call traditional, because traditionally it was only in person. However, due to COVID, we came up with a virtual format. If you are able to attend the in-person format, the ISSO office will be there in person, and they will present a section called Maintaining Your F1 Status. However, not everyone is able to attend in person, and so then they would choose the virtual option of orientation. So if you complete the virtual option, which includes, once again, doing the pre-arrival modules and doing the online format of the orientation. That section, that the maintaining your F1 status, is not included in that. So that is why you would need to take care of that with the ISSO, because that information is produced, is created, is managed by ISSO, because ISSO is the office that takes care of those immigration related matters. So hopefully I was able to elucidate that a little bit more, but thank you for that question. Okay, once again, there's another question about deferring their admittance from fall 21 to spring 22, but the Orion portal still shows fall 21. Once again, please email us at icprograms@utdallas.edu so that we can look into your particular case. Okay, we have another question. It says, oh, I already answered. Okay, maybe this person posted it twice. So once again, if you do post something and you haven't gotten to it, it's okay to post it once, because it just means that I haven't gotten to it as yet. Okay, it says, I've added my classes to the shopping cart already and see no holes on my account. So will I be able to directly enroll, or do I have to reach out to my academic advisor? So, well, that question just disappeared. Okay. Okay, so once again, if that's a question about enrolling for classes, if you do not see a hole that says that you need to speak with an academic advisor, then you may not need to speak with an academic advisor if there is not a hold on there for you. But that is a question that I would ask your academic advisor. Even if it's not required for you to speak to one, doesn't mean that it still cannot be helpful, because they're the ones that keep you on track. They're the ones that make sure that all the programs that you're doing and that you're going to put your time into taking, that they go towards your degree. Okay, there's another question that says, we have received an email from Jindal School Spring 2022 orientation for F1 students, which is January the 6th. It is the same as ICP orientation. Well, so ICP orientation is not on January the 6th, so it is not the same date. Okay, next question. It says, in my enrollment to-do list, my original degree is pending. I have submitted provisional degree. It is taking a lot of time to get the original degree from my university. Is it mandatory document, or can I get any excuse? Okay, I'm not sure what excuse you would be looking for if you are applying to a school. And so obviously this is what I would believe it's the enrollment services office is asking for, this original document. And if it is taking a lot of time, that is something that you can reach out to enrollment services about. If this is what they have asked you for, then this is what they need. But if there is any other alternative to that, sometimes there are other alternatives and sometimes they are just not, because the documents that are submitted by students, we need to submit them to the state of Texas, and they also go to the federal government. So if there are documents that we are asking you for, they probably are needed. However, the enrollment services offices would be the best office to pose this question to. Okay, here's a question. Will there be orientation for transfer students? There should be orientation for transfer students. That is a different office that takes care of that.
And Tamara, I have already replied on a private mode with the link for transfer orientation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. If I attend virtual orientation, how can I complete the F1? I already answered that. Let's see, this is repetitive. Okay, are there any specific vaccinations which need to be done before starting classes apart from COVID? Once again, this is a health-related question, so please reach out to the Student Health Center. If you look into the chat, the link for their website should be there. You might have to scroll up, but if you see a whole bunch of links, because I put a whole bunch of links right under each other, the information for the Student Health Center is there. Can we submit our transcripts in person once we come to the university rather than using the postal service? That sounds like it's a question for the enrollment services office. if I can find their website. I do not actually know.
And they usually accept that. However, it's better to verify with them so they can analyze your case and what type of records you're missing. But usually they do accept in-person documents upon arrival.
So in the chat, I put the email address for enrollment services. Any questions about documents that the university needs in order to fully, to process your admission, then just email admission@utdallas.edu. Okay, here's another question. Let's see. I followed the steps to navigate to pre-arrival modules in e-learning, but I couldn't find a link for pre-arrival modules as mentioned in the steps. Can you please guide me on how to proceed or whom I should contact? Okay, so asking about the pre-arrival modules. So once again, if you are a new incoming student for spring 2022, you will not be able to access the pre-arrival modules until November the 8th. So I would suggest checking back on November the 8th. That is when they should be available for you to complete in e-learning. So there is no link to the pre-arrival modules because the e-learning system is not a link to like a website or something like that. It's Blackboard. Some of you may have heard of Blackboard, but it's like an online learning format. So you would do the pre-arrival modules within the system. It's not a link to take you to somewhere. Okay, let's see another question. Says, I applied for 2 programs and got admitted for both. How do I register for classes? Just for MSCS programs. So once again, if this is a question about classes, that would be a question for your academic advisor or your program advisor. Okay, here's a question. It says, is there a WhatsApp or Facebook group to help connect with other students? That's a great question. So depending on, if there's a particular group of students that you're looking to connect with, there isn't a WhatsApp or Facebook group per se. If you would like to, the best thing I would say is if you would like to join our Facebook, actually, if you go to Facebook, UT Dallas, what am I saying? UTD Intercultural Programs. You can see other students that are friends with us on Facebook, and then that is one way that you can kind of reach out to students in that way. But there is no one particular group for that. Okay, another question says, do we have any orientation program from computer science department? So any information about computer science department, please contact your program advisor. They would be able to tell you more if there is going to be an orientation for all computer science students, or if there will not be. That will be something that they will have to advise you on. Let's see, I think I already answered that. So another question, do I need to mail my degree and transcripts, or can I submit them when I physically report? That's a question for enrollment services. So email them at admission@utdallas.edu. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to find things that we maybe have not answered as yet. Okay, when would be an ideal date to enter the United States for the spring 2022 intake based on past experiences? That is a really good question. So there's no ideal date, it just depends on you. Students do things different ways. Some students, some students enter 2 weeks before classes. It just kind of depends on you and what you are able to do. You have to, think about booking a flight. You have to think about getting accommodation. So it really just depends on you. Some students like to come, a week before because they try to save money in not having to pay for accommodations or maybe certain things. But once again, I do think it depends on your task list of the things that you need to do. So if the things that you need to do require you to get here a little bit, 30 days before, if you're a person that likes to kind of get in early and kind of get used to what's around you type person, then maybe doing the 30 days before. But once again, it's up to you and kind of what you need to do. Speaking of which, we do have, if you go to our website, we actually have, and I will drop this in the chat, we have an orientation booklet. It's in virtual format. It's called The Guide, and the guide provides a list of campus resources. And in the link that I just put in the chat right now, that link also takes you to our page that has a checklist, and this is for incoming students. So if you follow this checklist, you can kind of check off on your list and see, okay, am I doing these things? Is there anything that I need to do? So we highly recommend that you check out, it's called a pre-arrival checklist, and there's also a post-arrival checklist as well, so that you can know, if you're on task in terms of taking care of the things that you need to take care of. Okay, so here's a question. It says, how do I register with holes in my UTD Student Center? I'm not sure exactly what this means. How do you register for what exactly? Are you registering for classes? Are you registering for international orientation? So if you could provide more information, that could help me to answer that question better. Okay, here's a question. It says, I have registered for January 6th International Student Orientation. Is it possible to change it to a prior date? So once again, there is no international orientation on January the 6th. So, and it can be a bit tricky sometimes, because as a new student, you're getting a lot of communication from a lot of different offices, and sometimes they can all blend together and all seem the same. But just kind of pay attention to any kind of distinguishing factor. Once again, looking on the email signature of where something is coming from is helpful to tell you the office that something is coming from. So once again, we do not have an international orientation on January the 6th. So yes. Okay, let's see if there is anything else, something different that we haven't answered about. Okay, not sure how to answer that question. Will we be able to? Okay, I think we have already answered that. Okay, I sent my required attested transcripts to UTD address via post. Will I get an acknowledgement that they received my transcripts? And how do they attach those to my profile? That is a really great question. And that question, I would suggest for you to reach out to the Enrollment Services Office. I do not know if they will give some kind of acknowledgement that they have received it. So that could be a question that you send to them. So you can email them admission@utdallas.edu, and they'll better be able to advise you on that. Okay, there's a question here. It says, students asking for course registration. There is timing as well as registration dates, so kindly check that. For most of them, okay, so I think someone's actually trying to answer about the course registration, as to pay attention to the registration date. So okay. Well, let's see. I think. Okay, here's a question. It says, I checked with my advisor. There will be a new student orientation just before classes start. You will get an email about it at the end of orientation. You will be able to register for classes. Okay, I think this person was answering a question, but I don't know exactly which question they were answering. So yes, I think that was supposed to be answering. Somebody was asking about new student orientation.
May I add something, Tamara? Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, just to clarify, and we know it could be confusing for students, we have for all international students, international student orientation. However, you may expect specific academic orientations depending on the school. And the way they organize the specific academic orientation in each school varies. For example, Jason might know that they offer several sessions for that. Maybe it might be different than the School of Computer Science. They organize differently, but in any case, please feel free, again, to contact your academic advisor if you do not have yet that type of information, or if you need to make an appointment to be able to register for classes and get the advising you will need as a new international student. Thank you.
Leticia. Okay, and then I think this is the last question that I see that we haven't already discussed. Someone was asking about the Dean's Scholarship. They said, should we apply specifically for the Dean's Scholarship, or will the university directly consider our profile?
Probably they will have to consult directly with the school.
Yes.
And I do see a question, maybe you already answered it, sorry, Tamara. How do I register with holds on my UTD Student Center? It's very important that when you see a hold, you check when is the starting date of that hold. Just to reiterate, you will be able to register for classes even that you have our whole International Student Orientation, because if you see on your student center the start date, you will see that the whole will be effective until the first day of classes, and it will disappear from your account once you comply with the International Student Orientation. We know as an international student, this information could be a little bit confusing because you're coming from a different educational system, you're coming from a different country, a different way of doing things. And in that respect, I want to reiterate, no, it doesn't matter how obvious or not obvious your question could be. Don't hesitate to contact us if you need further clarification of anything that we are sharing today or on our webpage. Again, we understand perfectly that not all the terminology that we are using is familiar to you. So we are ready to clarify anything that you need.
Thank you. Okay, we do have another question. It says, is the airport pickup offered by UTD Big Howdy free, or is there a cost? The airport pickup provided by UTD Big Howdy is a free of charge service. Okay, here's another question. It says, can you please comment on part-time jobs available on campus and how we can find them? That's a really good question. So in regards to the part-time jobs available on campus, I cannot speak to, how many of them are available. That is something that is actually handled by the University Career Center. And the University Career Center uses a platform called Handshake, to shake someone's hand. Handshake is the format. I'm trying to think of like a job posting format, like a Indeed.com or Monster Jobs or something. So Handshake is the format for where jobs are posted for on-campus jobs and actually also for off-campus jobs. So for information about that, I can drop the Career Center's website into the chat, and you can reach out to them so that they can give you more information, because there's a process in terms of getting a Handshake account. A Handshake account is typically like you are given access to, once you are like admitted, enrolled, etc. So there is kind of a process for that. But yes, there is a website that you would go on to once you have access to it, and you can look for jobs there. You can apply for jobs internally on campus and also externally, and make sure to apply for jobs that are applicable to your status. So, and I just put the link in the chat for the Career Center's website. It's career.utdallas.edu. Okay, and there's a question here about internships. When can a spring 2022 student apply for internships? So this is a question that I would suggest for you to direct to the ISSO office, because this question is related to your immigration status. And I don't know your particular case. There's a general answer I think I can think of in my head, but it depends on your case. Because some people are transfer and whatever or not, but the ISSO office would be the office that goes over information regarding OPT and regarding CPT. So I would reach out to the ISSO office and ask them this information, so that way you can plan ahead and know when to start your kind of internship searching process. Okay. I think we have answered all the questions that are in the chat. Once again, I did post some links in the chat. You may have to scroll up. So if you want to do that right now, just scroll up and you'll see maybe about 5 or 6 different links kind of back to back. They are links to the Student Health Center, our orientation, a web page, so that you can read more about international student orientation, about how to contact ISSO, and also how to contact your academic advisors. Okay. Well, that is it for the questions that we have. I would like to thank everyone for joining us, and for the staff that is here, for Leticia Zamaripa and also Rodolfo Hernandez. Thank you for this event. We hope that we were able to answer your questions. If you do have further questions, you can email us at icprograms@utdallas.edu. We wish you the best, and we hope to see you next week on November the 9th at 9 a.m. for paying your tuition and fees with the Bursar's office. This is always a well-attended event, so make sure to come out and you'll be able to ask your questions as well relating to how to pay your tuition and fees. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.